Alex Jones confronted Marco Rubio over social media censorship, and it got very awkward.
I think it's important for them not to comply with any efforts to sort of go after freedom of expression.
What about the Democrats purging conservatives?
She's
not answering him. Just the Republicans are acting like it isn't happening. Thank God Trump is.
Well,
it's weird, man.
Oh, yeah, it's really weird. There's no purge of conservatives.
I don't know.
There's no shadow banning.
Who is this guy?
Are you concerned about bias in social media?
Yeah, who's this guy? We
Are you
deplatforming.
concerned about bias in social media?
Well, I think the bigger bias is against freedom of expression. Everybody should be. There's a look. I support going
It's
after.
happening here, but you say I don't exist.
Is that a heckler or a press gaggle?
Look at this guy. He's saying that I don't exist, and they're deplatforming.
I just don't know who you are, man. I don't read your websites.
Sure, and they
So
demonize me in these very hearings, and then he plays dumb.
Here's the question.
Infowars.com, you know what it is.
Does Google, does Facebook, does
That's why you
Twitter,
didn't get elected.
do they need to be regulated do they need to be regulated?
Marco Rubio the snake.
This
Little frat boy here.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Well, who are you? Who
Yeah,
is
sure.
this guy? I swear to God, I
You
don't
better
know who
hope
you
you
are,
can
man.
deplatform me. Tens of millions of views.
Infowars.
Better than Rush
Infowars.
Limbaugh. He knows who Infowars is.
but
Playing
you-
this joke over here. That's why the deplatforming didn't work.
But here's the question. Here's a
Hey,
question.
don't touch me again, man. I'm asking you not to touch me.
Well, sure, I just patted you nicely.
I know, but I don't want to be. I don't know
Oh, you
you,
want me to
man.
get
I don't know
arrested?
who you are.
It's not just good
You're not
to
going
take
to
my
get
First
arrested,
Amendment.
man. You're
It's
not going to get
just enough
arrested.
to
I'll
take my
take
First
care of it
Amendment.
myself.
Oh, he'll beat me up.
I didn't say
You
that.
didn't know who I am,
either.
but he's
I'm
so
just saying.
mad. You're not going to silence me. You're not going to silence America.
But there are people.
You are literally like a little gangster thug.
There are people in this country who
Rubio
feel
just
that
threatened to physically take care of me.
there are people who
Look at
feel
that.
that they're being
you already got rid of my First
being
Amendment.
silenced. They feel like
He tells you China's the problem, which it
by
is,
these
but
big
they're taking
companies
our
like
free speech
Google,
right now.
social media platforms, Facebook,
There goes Rubio.
Twitter. Do you believe that these platforms need to be regulated like a public utility, and how do you go about doing that?
Well, I prefer not to. I prefer competition take care of that. But obviously, we're going to watch closely to make sure that these tools that are being used. I mean, one thing is to say we're going to go after foreign interference designed to sow instability.
But it's already going on here.
Another thing is to
The
say we're
Democrats
going to
are
go after
raping the
free
Republicans.
speech. Because at some point, someone
The
has to make a
Democrats are raping
determination. What's the
Infowars.
difference between, misinformation from abroad and differences of opinion within the United
and
States?
that's
It's a
happening
very
here.
fine line, and that's something we need to be careful about. We don't overreach in that direction.
But then he doesn't know
so
about
these
Infowars being
companies
banned. He doesn't know
have
about
to
the
be
top
very
news story in the
careful about
country.
how they not just how they apply that within the United States, but they
Infowars.com
don't become
is better than
agents
ever.
of authoritarian regimes abroad to crack down on free speech, because
I wonder why Rubio got so
there's
mad
a
at me and
there's
threatened
a
me
there's a
physically.
balance between what is free speach and what people disagree on.
Poor
During the
Rubio.
hearing,
Yeah, man, I got to go to the committee.
Exactly.
You guys can talk to this clown.
Oh, yeah. Look at this little frat boy. So cool. Go back to your bathhouse. Compromise at the bathhouses. There goes Rubio, little punk.
Oh, Alex. He seriously cannot shut the fuck up. It's like at times he was trying, but he just starts blurting stuff out. He has verbal diarrhea. It's so embarrassing. Like he can't be around a group of people. Me, spotlight on me, I'm saying stuff. Look at me, I'm saying. There were times where he interjected where it wasn't even connected to what he had been saying. Like he's talking about how oppressed he is because he was censored and deplatformed, and then in the middle of talking about that, he goes, Infowars.com, bigger than ever. You would think that would be the last thing you'd want to say as you're making the argument that you've had your free speech censored. My free speech is censored, which is why I'm bigger than ever. Oh, he's such a clown. Okay, I enjoyed that because it was very tense. There are a few questions here. I think the most important one is, does Marco Rubio really not know who Alex Jones is? I have to say, he seemed very sincere in how he said that. Like, I was trying to look for a hint of... Because Marco Rubio's a bullshitter. We all know he's a bullshitter. But here's the thing. He's terrible at it. You can see through from a mile away. It's like, oh, yeah, that guy's bullshitting. But when he said, like, I don't even know who you are, it's very sincere, it seemed. So my guess is he actually doesn't know who Alex Jones is, which is kind of crazy that, like, you're surrounded by politics all day long and you've never come across anything with Alex Jones ever. I mean, it seems far-fetched, but I tend to believe him just because of how he said it. Like, if he was bullshitting, that was his best bullshitting job ever, because I usually can see through his nonsense from a mile away. But what's funny is, and you know, this is annoying actually, because Alex Jones always frames it as a partisan thing. Like, oh, the censorship and deplatforming on social media, it's happening against the right. there are instances of it happening against the right, it is also 100% happening against the left. And when it does happen against the left, you don't give a fuck about it because you disagree with the left. See, that's why you're a sad hack. Now, you look at this show, I've done segments talking about when there's censorship on the right because I don't agree with censorship. And I go, that's fucked up. I'm against that. But Alex Jones, he only frames it in a partisan way, so he has nothing to say when a left-winger gets... Did he say anything about Abby Martin? Because of U.S. sanctions, Abby Martin had the funding for Empire Files cut. So it was a U.S. government action that censored the free speech of Abby Martin. Did Alex Jones say anything about that? So it's frustrating that these guys, a lot of people can't help but try to frame it in a partisan way. And that's nonsense, and that's bullshit. And by the way, you're needlessly limiting your chances for success. Because if your argument was, as the reporter pointed out there in that video, by the way, hey Marco, should they regulate, social media platforms that are this big as public utilities? So Facebook, Twitter, should they be regulated as public utilities? That is exactly what my solution is that it should be treated like it is government speech, and therefore you abide by free speech rules and protections, but that doesn't mean that if there isn't an actual case of defamation or something, that you can't go through a court proceeding and then, have somebody get the equivalent of the internet death penalty if they indeed violate these rules, and perhaps they did it multiple times or whatever. But the solution is treat Twitter and Facebook as a public utility, and so you're not up to the whims of tech CEO, billionaire oligarchs to casually make the determination who gets pulled down and who doesn't get pulled down. Because if you leave it up to tech billionaire oligarchs, what are they going to do? Either their own personal biases and opinions are going to influence their decisions, or more likely, they're going to listen to the whims of whoever the fuck is in their ear. And you know who's usually in their ear? Other moneyed interests. I'm going to do a story in a little bit. At this hearing that they had in Washington about social media, Republican Senator Tom Cotton effectively pushing them to ban WikiLeaks. Why? Because, hey, WikiLeaks, Mike Pompeo, the head of the CIA, who's a fucking lunatic, foaming at the mouth neocon, a bloodthirsty clown. Mike Pompeo says that WikiLeaks is a non-government hostile foreign actor. Therefore, what they're doing, we say, is illegal, so you have to get rid of them. Now, do they have to prove any of that stuff? No. They don't have to prove it, because in this world that a bunch of idiots want us to live in, those tech CEOs should be able to casually make the decision if WikiLeaks can get totally axed online and be kicked off of all the relevant social media platforms. So, I mean, think about the implications of that. You have the government and powerful people get to force tech companies to just deplatform whoever they don't like. And then, of course, they'll always have the mask of, oh, it's for national security or it's to protect you from fake news. And, we know people who've lost accounts because of a bullshit deplatforming streak and censorship. Look what happened to Peter Douche. He lost his first account when his thing said, I am a parody account. I am not actually Peter Dow. I am Peter Douche is my name. He lost his account. And again, this has happened repeatedly. So the way to fix this is to regulate it as public utilities. But Alex Jones is so selfish and so narcissistic and such a simpleton that he doesn't know the nuances of this issue. He can't talk to you about, hey, the First Amendment. Alex Jones was on the wrong side of the net neutrality fight. So he was arguing for corporations to be able to willy-nilly slow down the speed to people's websites, and he didn't even realize he was on that side of it. Or he did, and he's a fucking idiot. So, I mean, if he can't understand net neutrality, is he going to understand the First Amendment and the fact that means the government can't jail you and it's not technically the First Amendment if a private company kicks you off, but what we're arguing for is to basically expand the First Amendment here? Does he even get that? I don't think he gets that, because to him it's just me. I'm going to stand in front of Marco Rubio and bark shit at him and make myself look like an ass. It's like, dude, you are your worst fucking ally. Alex Jones hurts my cause more than anybody. Alex Jones hurts my cause of arguing against censorship, against deplatforming, for these tech companies to be regulated as a public utility. He hurts our cause more than anybody. Why? Because he's the fucking person that they put front and center and say, really? You don't think guys like this should be kicked off? I mean, he fucking said Sandy Hook was fake, and as a result of his lunatic conspiracy rants, people were harassed people who were threatening them and whatnot. You're for that, Kyle? You're okay with this guy spreading his message? So it's because of guys like him that the fight becomes harder. Now, I'm gonna be on the proper side of that fight because I'm principled, but you're not helping us, dipshit. You're not fucking helping us. You're the worst on this. He thinks he's such like a genius, and he's like this fucking hero on the front lines of, these grand fights. But you're a goddamn carnival barker, dipshit. You somehow made me watch a video with Marco Rubio in it and side more with him. Do you understand what that does to me? I despise that neoconservative prick with of every fiber of my being. I mean, you said it. Oh, you're like a little thug gangster or whatever. That's right. That's exactly what Marco Rubio is. But you're the goddamn carnival barker. So please, move, go, do anything. Go do anything. Mystical says, move, bitch, get out the way. Ludicrous and Mystical? Whatever. Move, bitch, get out the way. We're busy trying to fucking get tech companies regulated as public utilities, and you're only hurting that cause.